I'm Dave, and this is The Stage Page. Today I want to talk about David Mamet. Now, for those of you who don't know, David Mamet is a playwright, a screenwriter, and an author of books. He's written 38 plays, 30 films, and 21 books so far. As far as staged work goes, his most popular work is probably Oleana and Glengarry Glen Ross, the latter of which actually won him the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. He also wrote screenplays for adaptations of both of those plays, as well as screenplays for movies like The Verdict, Ronin, Wag the Dog, a number of other ones. And as far as books, they aren't his most well-known media, but his book True and False, Heresy and Common Sense for the Actor is a pretty popular book among practitioners. I've read it myself, and I've had a number of people recommend it and say they like it before. But today what I want to talk about is Mamet's treatment of women in his work. Now, when I mentioned Oleana. What that play is about is, it starts off with a female student going into her male professor's office to talk to her about her grade, and how she's upset with it, how the material for the class isn't good, all these things. In the meantime, he's on the phone with his wife trying to work through a realtor deal, and he talks a little bit back and forth with her, and finally he kind of says he understands where she's coming from. He likes her and he wants to work with her, so he agrees to give her an A if she agrees to come back in and see him a few times throughout the semester. At one point, as things are kind of getting heated in their discussion, he goes to put his hand on her shoulder to comfort her, and she pulls away violently. And this becomes important because then, the next scene of the play, he's been accused of sexual assault by this student. Now he begs her forgiveness, all these things. He's supposed to be on the tenure track, and this complaint has now gone to the tenure board, and it's putting everything in jeopardy, so he's trying to kind of get out of this, but she has reported him for saying he would give her an A if she made private visits to his office, so things aren't looking very good for him. And in the final act, he's actually been removed from the school. He's lost his tenure position, obviously, and he is now being accused of full-on rape. And so she says she will agree to take these charges away if he agrees to take a number of books out of curriculum at their program. One of the books being one that he wrote. And at this point he flies into a rage. He savagely attacks her physically. He attacks her verbally, calling her names that no one should ever use. And that's kind of how the play ends, is after he's beaten her to the ground, he holds a chair up over her head, and as he's about to hit her with it, he puts it down, saying, "Oh my God," and she says, "Yes, exactly." So I use this play as an example because it's problematic right from the start. You're villainizing a female for accusing her professor of sexual assault in a situation that is understandably questionable. And it never once gives her the benefit of the doubt. Everything is always seen from his point of view. Never once does it feel like he's being treated fairly. And this is further exemplified by the fact that at a London premiere of this show, the actress who played the female lead had a breakdown afterward because she heard audience members calling her horrible names and saying that she got what she deserved. Now, I'd like to compare that with another play that Mamet wrote called Sexual Perversity in Chicago. This play focuses around two men and two women who talk about relationships, and then one of the men and one of the women get together in a relationship which ultimately doesn't work out. But the other male character is just a horrible person. He makes horrible sexual remarks about all the women in the show. He treats them terribly. And in this instance, a person who should be reviled by everybody is given a last-minute reprieve when he makes a revelation at the end that he was assaulted as a child. And all of a sudden, everything he's done has been given some sort of context so that we understand him and even pity him. So the dissonance in the way these characters are treated is a pattern that you see in a lot of Mamet's plays. In general, a lot of the female characters are viewed as harsh, unapproachable, and irrational, whereas the men, they all have snappy dialogue, they're intelligent, they get the sympathy, and they're always emotionally complex. There are a number of other text examples, but for now, I want to talk a little bit about Mamet's childhood. He did witness his stepsister being attacked by their father on a pretty regular basis, and from the child psychology material that I've read, a lot of times kids will repeat the trauma that they've witnessed in attempts to understand it. And I think that part of where Mamet might be coming from is trying to understand the relationships between men and women because of his upbringing. But that doesn't make it not problematic anymore. And that's kind of where I come to the other point of this video, which is separating art from artists. Now, there are parts of both of those plays that I think are good, even if overall I think their messages are not great, and even if I think he has a track record of maybe not serving females in the profession very well. But is this a reason to discount his work or not? I have troubles with this. If we look at the way that J.K. Rowling has been treating the trans community lately, I've turned around my Harry Potter books on my shelf now. I don't even look at them because I'm just disgusted with the way that she's been treating people. So I've always had a problem separating art from artist. Another example of this is Orson Scott Card and the Ender's Game books. Ender's Game is a great book. Orson Scott Card is a terrible person. I have trouble recommending that book or even talking highly of that book because of his attachment to it. And at a certain point, I'm not sure if it's fair to the work or not, because the work is a creation of a person who's problematic. Does that make their work problematic by association? I don't know. I would love to hear some other people's input on this because it's something I've always struggled with, and I've never really gotten a solid opinion one way or the other from the people I've talked to about it. So if you have any thoughts on this, please let me know. I'd love to continue discourse on the topic. It's something that's always really interested me. If you have any thoughts about Mamet and his treatment on women, or any other authors that this reminds you of, please drop them in the comments. I'd love to talk with you about it. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by.